Mindset is something that you can change. Mindset is something that you can grow. Mindset is something that is constantly evolving and improving. And like, you don't have to always be on. You don't have to always be hustling. When I first got started as an investor, I used to look at people, and I remember reading books of like Richard Branson and Donald Trump. Don't judge me too hard on that one. Tony Robbins and Tim Ferriss, and I used to like put these guys on a pedestal and think, man, like if one day I could be like these guys, or if I could have their mindset, or if I just had their experience, or whatever like secret sauce I thought they had, because I thought these guys were different, and I like idolized them like gods back then. And now I just realize, like after talking previously to starting this vid, like, mindset is something that you can change. Mindset is something that you can grow. Mindset is something that is constantly evolving and improving. And, yesterday I had a really hard mental day. Today I'm in a really good headspace. Like, you don't have to always be on. You don't have to always be hustling. So in today's video, we wanted to share the experience of over 3,000 conversations that Simon and I have now had with people from all over the world. And, in particular, what the top 10% of those people that are living their best lives and achieving their dreams are saying, thinking, and doing on a weekly basis, so that you guys can hijack some of those ideas and hopefully put yourself in a way better position long term.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I think there's one major thing that's in common with all of these people, and it's the action takers that seem to be ahead of the curve compared to some of the others. Now, we all experience challenges, we all experience things that hold us back, and we're all at different stages of our journey as well, and we're all completely individual, and that's fine. As Ben said, this is learned behavior. When Ben bought his first property, probably didn't expect he was going to end up here. When I bought my first property, I couldn't see the forest through the trees. I knew what I was working towards, but I didn't necessarily understand how it would actually come into reality.
I remember buying that first property, which was in Miranda in Sydney, with a few friends. I think I was 24 years of age, and I thought at that time like I knew it all and I had it together. I didn't have a purpose for my life. I didn't have a plan. I didn't even know that, like, I didn't have this idea of if I could own it outright, I could get some passive income. I didn't know what I was going to do with the property. I didn't know why I bought it. I just really bought into rich dad, poor dad shit.
Yeah.
Like, if I just buy some stuff, long term it will work out, and it felt like the right path for me. And you don't need to have it all figured out right now.
No.
And you don't ever need to figure it out. I think that's what life's about. Like, I'm sure if I was sitting down with some of the most incredible people in the world, which I absolutely am going to be doing within the next 10 years.
And you have. We've worked with some amazing people.
But I'm talking about like sitting down with Branson and the Dalai Lama on our future podcast that we're going to launch. And it's like, I still believe in the human in everyone, and I still believe in the challenges and the fears. But as you said, like, the first thing we want to talk about today is taking action.
Yeah.
Now, we're not talking about taking silly action. We're not talking about taking high risk action. We're not talking about taking action without a plan and a strategy that works for you, that you've designed for yourself. We're talking about feeling that fear and still moving forward. You don't have to fight the fear like I sometimes unfortunately get caught up doing. You don't have to run away from it like a lot of other people do. You can just feel it, acknowledge it, accept it, and then continue to move forward in the direction of your dreams.
Because it's not going anywhere, regardless if it's your first property, third property, 13th property.
I still felt so sick when I bought my latest place.
Yeah.
But then after seeing it today in the previous vid we did, I'm so excited now that it's real and that it's done. But leading up to it, I felt sick.
Sick in the stomach, and that doesn't go away. So regardless of your personality type, we've got a couple of different examples here. I guess I want to start off with my friend Davo, who's worked with us. He's bought a couple of properties now, about to buy his third property. Absolutely.
One of the best dudes of all time.
An action taker.
Yeah.
He takes action. Now, Davo never paid attention at school. He left in year 10 or 11. I think he even got booted out of school, to tell you the truth. Sorry for throwing you under the bus, buddy. But he taught himself some certain things. His sister had been quite a successful investor. He knew that he needed to do something to move forward. So he started watching our videos. He worked with Ben a few years ago and bought his first property. He then bought his second property, and he's watched all of our content online. And we were talking the other day, and he said, man, I get approached by all of my friends, all of my colleagues to give them advice. And he's like, I've always thought myself as not the most intelligent person. And he's realized that intelligence doesn't matter. So if you're not the smartest person out there, or you think
you're not the smartest person in the room, and I surround myself with people that are way smarter than me for that reason.
Exactly, that's exactly what you have to do. But he's taught himself what he needed to know to take enough action to get himself where he wants to be, and
he hasn't rushed out. Like, he's been earning great money since. I remember coming down to Sydney when I was 24, 25, partying with you guys when you were 17 and 18, and sitting in the spa that mum and dad had, getting super drunk. And I remember at that time, at 17, Davo's like, 18, what are you doing? Like, what did you just buy? Like, and he was asking good quality questions rather than just going, oh, Ben's just doing that, Ben's doing this. He was like, what did you pay for it? What's it renting for? What's the mortgage look like? Like, he was ready at an early stage. He had no idea what he wanted to do. He had no money in the bank, but he was like, started with asking the right questions.
So it's important to have that understanding that regardless of where you're at in your journey yet, just have that belief, have that mindset to strive for something better, to be a better person tomorrow than you are today, and to have a better life in the future than you have today, and slowly but surely work towards that goal.
And I don't think it has to be big. It doesn't have to be crazy. You don't have to have it all figured out now. It could be as simple as starting with, what is your current income? You know, why don't you work towards trying to replace that over the next 15 to 20 years? And secondly, you should be aiming for like purpose and meaning in your life at some point in the future. Now, you know, everyone in the planet is still looking for that peace, that contentment, that presence. That's a lifelong pursuit and a hell of a journey and a ride. But it's like, if you don't want to like aim for something so lofty as like living your purpose, then by having a passive income, you'll get choices. And choices are what enable you to think more clearly. And if you look at like what I learned at uni around Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it starts with shelter, and then you start to move your way up the hierarchy of needs. And once you've achieved some form of like financial security, it enables you to look after yourself better, look after the people around you better, and then ultimately like get to self-actualization, which is just the highest and best version of yourself, or at least being able to think about that way. Because when I was like really hustling, really struggling, and on those days that I have chronic anxiety still, and I'm in a fight mode and my frontal cortex is all messy and I can't think straight, I'm not my best self. But on those days where I'm like today, like in my zone and my flow, everything happens for you, and it's constantly happening for you. So taking action is the number one thing. What else do you think is important?
I think creating the habits that are going to give you the confidence.
That gave me goosebumps. It's a series of habits.
Yeah, creating the habits that are going to give you the confidence to take action.
Yeah.
So it's not just about finance and studying the market and doing your research. It's about looking within and being able to understand more about yourself and your emotions and the challenges that hold you back from being able to take action. For myself, obviously, lots of meditation, lots of yoga, lots of hanging out with friends and family and talking about this sort of stuff on a regular basis. These are the types of habits that I've introduced into my life that have helped me understand, and then having the understanding has made me be able to take action. So what I mean by that is having these conversations with Ben, with my friends, with family about what is it that I want to have in the future and how am I going to get there. And that's amazing. But I know so many people struggle with having that community of like-minded people or people that they can actually communicate with. So
I remember when I was getting started, like I was reading so much stuff and listening to like a few people so often. I remember training for this marathon with a mate at like 25, 24, and I was like listening to these guys, and I like, hopefully you guys feel the same way. Like, I thought that I was like friends with Jim Rohn and Dennis Waitley and Tony Robbins, like, and Richard Branson. I was listening to and reading so much of their stuff at that time that I considered them like close people to me in my life. And I hope this channel is allowing you to feel that. Like, I hope you can sit down and have a beer or a glass of wine. I hope you can laugh about this shit with us
Yeah.
when we're making these mistakes, and I hope you can like have a good time with us as we grow together. Or if you're in the gym listening to this, like I used to when I was training, or in the car on your way to somewhere, you know, like I hope you can get past like the way that we are and just get to the message, which is what was important for me. And I hear that stuff all the time. Like, I listen to a lot of Eckhart Tolle now, and almost the first thing every single person says to me is, "I can't stand his voice," and I'm like, "Fuck, you're just missing it, man."
Yeah.
But you know, habits that have changed my life that are more tactical is the savings habit, paying myself first. So every single week since I was 24 years of age, I've put a percentage of my income away. And as my income grows, I put a bigger amount away. In fact, I've almost always put that increased amount away and just lived off what I can within my means. I've had a habit of reducing constantly my expenses and knowing where they sit. I've had a habit of setting goals and also reviewing those goals. I've had a habit of consistently taking action when I could. And I've had my number one thing around mindset for every person, regardless of if you're starting where I started from, which was with absolutely nothing, like nothing financially in that way, but an incredible set of skills and character from my parents. But like, if you're starting from scratch, then learn. You can fucking jump on YouTube right now and listen to the Dalai Lama, who is pretty much like a fucking Jesus of our time, and in 1,000 years he'll be looked back in that way as like the Lutz Zoo of 1,000. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can listen to the richest man in the world, Bezos, from Amazon. Bezos. You can listen to like the future Edison, which is Tesla now. And you can get direct access to them in our lifetime. Like in the past, that was confined to like the elite of society. You can listen to a Tony Robbins who's gone from food stamps to a $3 billion businesses. Like, and you can learn from punters like me and Simon that are figuring it out and documenting our journey
as we go. You know, it's so beautiful living in this age that we live in right now, and it can also make it hard because there's so much information out there. It can become super overwhelming and becomes an overload of information. And
it's always been like that though, bro. It's just being served on multiple mediums now. Like, what my advice for that is, because I don't want people to get caught in that, and I know that's not what you were saying either. It's just pick a few people that you really vibe with, learn from them until you've like filled your cup with that. And then once you've hit the limit of like, okay, how far that person can help you grow, then find the next person that's at the next level that you want to follow. And you don't have to be absorbing everything. In fact, I absorb an extremely limited amount of really high quality stuff from the absolute best, and I completely ignore the shit out of everything else.
Yeah, same for me when it comes to investing. It's very, very, very specific information. And then I have stuff that I enjoy listening to, and I do that for sort of podcasts and just to fill that other little bit of time as well. So I think that's something that can definitely help with the mindset as well, is having these places that you can release yourself, that you can be 100% you and get out of your own head to get that clarity back, get into that flow state. Because when we're in that flow state, there's no stopping you. You know, you can achieve anything. You can conquer the world if you want to. But you've got to make sure that you can stay in that flow state and not attach onto those negative thoughts or the tough things to overcome, and surround yourself and become a part of those things that just make you live the absolute best possible life that you can. Because when you're open and when you're living in the present and when you're in that flow state, just think about like the most recent example of this in your own world. Everything just comes to you. You don't have to go searching for it. It just comes to you when you're open and you're present and living in the moment. And that definitely helps. But when you're hiding yourself and you're closed off from the world and you're fighting and you're fearful, that's when everything becomes so much harder.
Completely. Like, I love that, man. And like, you know, I wish I could have heard that yesterday. You know, and that's what I mean. Like, we're still going through stuff.
It's a roller coaster.
You know, for me, I've learned so much in the last few years, and around mindset, what I've learned is that you can be as positive as you want to be. You can do affirmations, you can set goals, you can fucking load your life up with all this stuff that like is supposed to help, and it does, and you can set the intentions and you can meditate. But there's also some habits that I've built around putting better quality food into my body that fuels my mind and keeps me in that state, drinking a lot more water, sleeping better, like as Simon said, meditating, yoga, training, socializing with good people and connecting with family, as well as like massively connecting with the environment. Like something that I've been doing after reading the Celestine Prophecy recently is like, I've realized that a lot of people try and take energy from other people. It's like, that can be a positive, it can be like really life enriching. You know, most people that catch up with us just walk away fucking vibing because our vibration is higher. And a lot of the clients that we work with are in that space, like just like you guys, they're just people trying to figure out the best version of themselves. And financial freedom is just one of the things that helps you do that. But, you know, what I've learned is if you're expecting things from people, you know, sometimes those things can happen, sometimes they don't. Where like what I've learned to tap into is just this incredible world around us, and you can call it grounding, you can call it like connecting with nature, you can call it just getting outside and fucking being in the sun. It's whatever you describe it to be, like throwing the ball around with your mates or surfing or just putting your feet in the water or breathing the air. Like that is just so life enriching. And the reason this is important, and I know that's a bit sort of out there, but connecting with nature has enabled me to like really work through stuff, and there's unlimited power and energy in it without it expecting anything from you. And I love that. Like I've been really focusing on that lately.
Yeah, the world just gives and gives and gives and doesn't ask for anything in return. And when you take yourself out of your own mind and you put yourself in this glorious, beautiful, magical world that we have this opportunity to spend time on, and you realize, you know, sometimes this helps for me to connect with nature, like at night time when it's a beautiful clear night and you can see the stars and you can see the moon, and after a good day of connecting with nature, this is most of my weekends as well, by the way, where I've spent heaps of time outside, heaps of time with friends, just filling myself up with that energy, and then meditating on that at night time and just looking up to the world and just being grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this beautiful thing, and just having that awareness that the world isn't happening for us, it's just happening.
Yeah.
I mean, no, that's the wrong way to put it. The world isn't happening at you, the world is happening for us.
I love that, man. Like I was listening to Oprah, she's got a new podcast called Masterclass where she, again, like as a place to start, she's interviewing the most incredible people in terms of performance in the world.
She's just the best, isn't she?
And I was listening to her talk about her story, which is a 2-part one. I've never heard how she went from like south, like in probably one of the most racist states 60 years ago, to like who she is now, which is global influence and one of the most influential people in history. And she talks about mindset, and when you get to this point where you've fought and you've fought and you've fought and you've hustled as much as you can and you've done everything you possibly can, what it feels like to you to get to where you want to be, and it's still not happening, she's like, just surrender. Just fully let it go and accept that the world is happening for you and it's all going to be okay. And I know that's hard. Like the 24-year-old version of myself would be like, fuck off, man. Like, I'm just going to keep doing it my way, you know what I mean? Like,
when you got your boss riding you or something like that, or your girlfriend or your parents or whatever.
I went and saw The Wolf of Wall Street, and he's like, that personality, the hustler, the pusher is called the bulldozer. And he's like, it's cool, like you can bulldoze through walls, but it's a lot easier to be the person that's in flow, that's just the fourth personality that like just gets drawn forward because of their purpose, vision, and they're connected. And I'm like, I just bulldoze my way to where I want to be. And I'm like looking at Simon in front, I'm like, fuck, that's like a nice way to be.
I have the fourth child, and Ben's been bulldozing this path down for me, and I just come cruising through behind, just like, yep, I'll buy that property.
Like, I think about Big Fish as like, the long way's easier, but it's longer. It's like Simon's taking the longer way, but it is a beautiful way to watch it happen. And it's like, that's like the choice that I'm making moving forward. It's like no more pushing, just knowing where I want to be, reflecting on that momentarily and checking in with it once every few months, and then just trying to be here and enjoy this as much as possible.
Yeah, so I think for the people out there that are like, okay, well, what was this video about? I think what you really need to do is find out who you are and find out what you need to do to be at a point where you're in a positive mindset, where you're in a flow state, where you're wanting to push forward to do the things that are going to get you to where you want to be in the future. And I think that's the biggest thing about mindset, is becoming who you truly are and using that to your advantage to create the life that you deserve.
Completely, and that comes in so many different forms, from setting goals to paying yourself first, to eating better, to binge drinking less, to
Learning.
growing, to taking action, to connecting with great people. And if you don't have them in your life, which I didn't have for a long time, then finding them online, because we're here to help. And like, just recognizing that you can have everything you want, not always in the same day or the same year or the same moment, in fact in the same decade. But financial freedom can change everything. We're not financially free, we're both 100% still working towards it, like you, figuring it out. But there is a way to get there, and we know the path, and that's just consistency, and time will get the result if you trust that it will. And just make sure, like, trust is one thing, you actually do something about it as well.
Yeah.
Whether that's stocks, shares, gold, crypto, businesses, working your ass off and saving money, or property, find your path, find what resonates, and, you know, just slowly make it happen over time. We honestly wish you all the best, though, and can't wait to catch up with you on the phone soon. If you're one of those people that value what we value, that care like we care, and that want to set yourself up over time, if you've got $60,000+ in the bank and you think you can borrow some money to buy a place, we would love to have a session with you.
Hell yeah.
We would love you to jump onto our website, book in a time at pumpedonproperty.com, and, you know, talk about where you are, where you would like to be, share your journey. We can give you some weird ideas and some smart ideas that are just basically ideas that we've got from other smart people, or you can just go off there and do it with yourself and take it with a grain of salt. But we wish you all the best this year and next, and as always, stay safe with what you're trying to do.